can I just add to that that we do have an enforcement arm in the state in terms of both for the state agencies would be the Attorney General, and for criminal complaints would be the State Office of Chief State's Attorney. So there are two different arms that can hold government officials accountable. Unfortunately, they are not doing that. So again, there are a lot of violations by a lot of government officials. And I apologize to those here.
All right, but he makes these executive orders, okay, and they go into effect. All right. If there's a question that he broke the law, these executive orders should not stand. They should be put on hold until the outcome.
And that's what we're asking for it to happen. That's what we're asking the court to do, declare it null and void. However, the legislature also could declare them null and void if the legislature had wanted to. We have different branches of government, and the Attorney General could come out with an opinion and say, these are null and void. There are multiple government officials that could act here, but they unfortunately have not.
Well, then they're all breaking the law.
Exactly.
Because they're letting the law get broken.
Well, we're letting them do that. It's we the people. We're the ones that have to stop this. We can do it by electing the appropriate politicians, and we have phenomenal people representing us here today. But we've got to go to everybody. You and you and I and you are the ones that will stop this by talking it up. 230 years ago, there was no media, there was no TV, there wasn't anything else. It was the people being fed up and saying, no, this is my country, this is my rights, I'm going to do it, I'm going to stand up. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, get a mass of people going up there, a mass of phone calls. I'm sorry, I get carried away with it.
Life of its own, and so we need to stop it, because now you've got all these bills that are out there, and those need to be stopped. And that's what we're fighting for. Because if those aren't stopped, it doesn't matter that, yes, he put in the executive order, and yes, it's unconstitutional, but now it's gotten to the point where the bills are out there, and those need to be stopped. So every step of the way, we need to speak out to stop it. I'm just going to, I'm sorry. Okay.
Before we talk about the state being opposed to unions, what does that mean for us? If this bill goes through, does that mean we're automatically in this union? We're telling us that we don't have to join?
You have no rights whatsoever. You are in the union.
Okay, so then does that mean that we automatically have to pay that union fee, or are
you won't even get the money? Won't even the state will pay it for you.
Right, they're going to take it from our Care for Kids check.
Correct.
But what if we don't have Care for Kids, and we're a daycare provider? Are they going to have a separate fee for those that don't? Because if it's a union shop, it would include all of us.
I can clarify some of this. First and foremost, I wouldn't say that we're a closed union shop. This is what is referred to as a non-right-to-work state. In some states, if you are in a business where there is a union, you would still have a right to work for that employer and choose to opt out of the union and not pay any dues. Because we are not a right-to-work state, you are required, even if you are not part of the union, to pay your fair share of the dues. That's what they call them, fair share fees or agency fees. I put in legislation to try and reverse that for the first time in 15 years this year, but of course it would not be heard by the Labor Committee. And the other thing, what was the other question?
How's it going to be paid?
Oh, yes. Senator Markley and I drafted a series of questions that we sent to the governor back on January 6th when we had a little press conference at the same time. And this is a question that has not been satisfactorily answered by the governor on who's actually included. The executive order is pretty vague about whether you have to be taking care for kids to be part of the union. The working groups that have been meeting at the Capitol have been insisting that that's the case because they're going to take the union dues out of the Care for Kids money. We did ask them specifically several questions about this. Can you opt out? Can you opt in? If you're taking Care for Kids on one day and you're not the next day, are you still in the union? We do not have the answers to these questions yet, and the governor has failed to answer them. But I would say that chances are, if you were on the list that was provided to the governor, or that was provided to the union initially, you're in regardless.
Okay, hold on.
I was on that list, but I do not have any care for kids anymore.
You're still on that list.
And I have care for kids, and I was not on the list.
How many people here got bills?
Yeah, I got that. How many people got ballots?
How many people got bills?
And why didn't every daycare provider get a ballot?
Well, actually, people that have care for kids, first of all, the way they did it is they said you have to be receiving care for kids during a certain period in order to be getting the ballot. So if you didn't have care for kids, they automatically didn't want to hear from you.
But I do have it. I've had it for many years, and
I did as well, and I did not get a ballot. However, when I brought that to the union's attention, do you know what they said to me?
Imagine.
They told me I should have called. Who did I Because the thing that you need to remember is there's union dues, there's union fees, and there's agency fees. So they're getting us coming and going, and for what?